Some smooth jazz for some whose music is practically synonymous with elevator music. Grammy-winning saxophonist Kenny G, with his signature curly locks, has been a force in the music industry for decades. We sat down with the iconic artist along with Penny Lane, who directed his upcoming HBO documentary Listening to Kenny G, which debuts on December 2nd on HBO and HBO Max.
So, Kenny, let's start with you. You've been really this icon that emerged in the 80s. Now you're 65 years old. Why did you decide that now was the time to share your story with the world?
Well, first of all, thanks for reminding me how old I am. That's great. Really great. It really wasn't my decision to decide. You know, Penny came to me, and I know HBO had approached her about maybe doing some documentary of a musician. So yes, I mean, if she would have asked me 5 years ago when I was only 60, I would have said yes.
How does that feel to hear that, Kenny? I mean, at one point, there's even an analogy between you and the Harlem Globetrotters. Like, you're not this authentic jazz aficionado or player. You're not a real NBA player. You can play, but it's not jazz. Don't call it jazz.
You know, I've been hearing that since the mid 80s when I was actually in the world doing that. So it didn't bother me then either, because I know what kind of a sax player I am. I know how much I practice. I know the kind of music I'm doing is from my heart. So it's all stuff I've heard before. And when I saw it, I actually smiled and laughed. I thought it was really funny. I love the South Park. I'm proud of that South Park episode where they make fun of me. I'm the guy that plays the note that, if you haven't seen it, that makes the whole world crap their pants. I mean, that's something special right there.
That's how you know you made it, really.
That's how you know you made it. I've got that special tone. But honestly, you know, it's you just have to be true to yourself. You got to know how good you are. And if you know you're good, if somebody else says that you're not that good, you know, they're the ones that are missing something. Because I've had so much feedback since I started my professional life at 17 of all this great feedback about what kind of a player I am. So if I hear a few people that have other things to say, it's really not going to make much difference to me.
And Penny, there's a part of the documentary where you included an outtake where Kenny kind of gets up.
Now that we're taking a break, tell me how is it going?
It's going great.
I mean, seriously, are you getting what you want?
Yes.
Am I talking too long?
No.
Am I animated enough? Am I too animated?
No.
That's my problem, is I always want to be too good at everything. And so I want to be the best. See, my problem is I want to be the best interview you've ever had. And if that means sitting here for 12 hours and not eating or drinking, I'll do it. That's my problem. So I would give you whatever you want, as long as you want. Okay, good.
Were you struck by the idea that he is really this perfectionist, whether it's playing the soprano sax, whether it's golfing, whether it's flying planes, whether it's sitting to be the perfect interviewee?
He really just really wants to be the best at whatever he's doing at that moment. And so if it's being a documentary subject or star, you know, he'll do that, you know. So it was just a joy to make this film, because whatever we wanted to do, Kenny was game. Like, he was like, okay, like if he understood why it would help the film, he was down to do it, and he wanted to do it as good as he could. And he has way more energy than anyone else.
That's the problem, that she got tired. I was ready to do way more, but you know.
You're ready for the sequel. And Penny, one review said that this documentary was really about the nature of taste. And when you hear it put that way, especially through the lens of the music of Kenny G, what have you learned about taste?
Well, I think what I learned was that, you know, for a lot of people, the music they love is so deeply tied to who they are and to their social lives. So it's not just their personal identity that feels like it speaks to their soul in some way, but also to their friend groups and their socioeconomic groups and all the other groups that they're a part of. And I think for me, what I really learned at the end of the day is that if you have like one person who loves the music of Kenny G and you have one person who hates music of Kenny G, the person who loves it is right, and the other person is just missing something.
And Kenny, you have a new album coming out called New Standards. We're going to take a listen. So give us a sense of where this sound came from for you.
Well, New Standards, this is my idea of how I can take the sound, the style, the feel of the ballads of the 1950s and 60s. Because the great jazz players, the masters of jazz, the 50s and 60s, that was the era. And when they played these jazz ballads, they were so great. So I wanted to get that sound. So the chords and the compositions are very much like those jazz ballads of the 50s and 60s, but the melodies and the way it's played, of course, that's me. And I combine that, and I'm super proud of it. And I think it's romantic. I think it's sophisticated. I think it's, I don't know, it's very heartfelt. And it took me almost 5 years to make it.
And Penny, I know better than to ask Kenny how he defines himself.
I mean, my songs were played on pop radio. They were played on jazz radio. They were played on R&B radio. Am I an R&B artist? Am I a pop artist? Am I a jazz artist? I think maybe the answer is yes, just everything.
How do you define his music? What genre would you put his music into?
I mean, I think the great thing is that we live in a world now without those borders. Like, you know, when you go on to Spotify and you listen to music, it doesn't matter what the genre is. No one thinks that way about music anymore. And I think that's been really great for people like Kenny, because it's like this whole argument gets started when you like put the record in a certain bin. But that was really just a historical artifact. Like, we don't sell records like that anymore, which has some downsides. But you know, the record stores aren't making those kinds of decisions for you anymore. And so people come to the music with less preconceived notions. So I think young people who encounter Kenny's music for the first time, they're not concerned with what genre it is. It's just like, is this a sound that speaks to me or not?
I practice every day, 3 hours every day. Could I practice 2? Probably. Could I practice 5? Probably. See, I get more excited about that. That's a hard lick, and I just played it really well.
And lastly, you know, one thing that we see also in the documentary is kind of this evolution of you and how you manage to stay so current. What's next? Well, my new standards is next. I've got this thing that says I should do a lullaby album. I just really feel like it's the right album to make. And I love lullabies. We use this huge orchestra on this new standards album. And I would do the same thing where it's just beautiful, big orchestra, my saxophone, maybe a little piano on these lullabies. And I think it's great. And of course, in the film, I say, can I say it? Yeah.
I say something like, well, I've already made the music that made the babies. Now I'm going to make the music that puts them to sleep.
Create a whole new generation of fans of your music.
Our thanks to Kenny and Penny for that.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.